Wait, you have a TV?
No. I just like to read the TV guide. Read the TV guide. You don't need a TV. Television addict! Television addict! Television addict!
Hey everybody, welcome to TV Guidance Counselor. I am Ken Reed, direct from quarantine lockdown, here with a brand new edition of TV Guidance Counselor to talk about classic television with a remote guest using scanned PDF versions of TV guides from my personal collection as the gateway into our collective past. I want to thank you guys for tuning in. I hope you're well, you're staying safe, you're staying relatively sane. I am doing my best. It's not easy, and I completely understand. I want to thank you guys also, everyone who reached out and enjoyed last week's episode with Julia, live from Scotland. It's fun to do these international episodes, and I hope to do more in the future. Again, if you have guest suggestions or requests, please send them to me at tvguidancecounselor@gmail.com or at ken@icanread.com, or tweet them at Kenneth W. Reed, R-E-I-D, or at TV Guidance. I will do my best to try and get each and every one of those people on the show, and who knows how long we're going to be doing the show in this format. So we will continue as long as we need to. Still haven't missed a week since February 14th, 2014, when the show launched. So a point of pride for me, even though it doesn't really matter. Anyway, we come back to the United States this time as my guest is in Las Vegas, Nevada, or I think they yelled at me and made me call it Nevada. Is it Nevada? Yeah, something like that when I was there last year. That is Pete. He's mad. But my guest is writer Stephanie Crawford, and Stephanie is amazing. She's a very smart, very funny, very talented film writer. I highly recommend you follow her on Twitter, which is where I know her from. I marvel at how we have the same taste. She likes all the cool things I do, and is very, very cool. And I've wanted her on the show for a while, but obviously I have never been to Vegas, and she has not been here, so it has been a barrier until now. So a blessing in disguise, this pandemic that's killed so many people. That is awful. But Stephanie's great. I will put links up on tvguidancecounselor.com to all her social media, because you should follow her and follow her recommendations. So please sit back, relax, and enjoy this week's episode of TV Guidance Counselor with my guest, Stephanie Crawford.
TV is my friend, and it has been always there for me in time of need.
Live from Las Vegas.
Actual Las Vegas.
Actual Las Vegas, not just like near Las Vegas. Is that a thing? Like, isn't there kind of nothing around there?
Oh, yeah. No, it's a regular southwestern suburban wasteland. That's not nice.
Excellent.
It's not a wasteland, but...
Well, you could say, if it's a wasteland, it's a wasteland. Well, I always wonder, because, like, people will be like, oh, I'm from Boston. This actually happened last time I was in L.A. And I was like, oh, whereabouts are you from? And he's like, New Hampshire. And I'm like, yeah, that's a different state. So often people will just go whatever the biggest city is. But I guess Vegas is Vegas.
Vegas is Vegas. Notorious for basically two streets. And everything else is kind of boring and normal, except, slot machines and gas stations and what have you. But you get used to that eventually.
And you grew up there, right?
I moved here when I was 16.
Close to growing up there.
Yeah.
And where were you before that?
Albuquerque.
Okay, so still like a deserty.
Yeah, I was born in Michigan, but I landed in the desert.
Wow, that's a difficult birth. That you just shot right a couple states over into Albuquerque. Do you have siblings or?
No, just me.
Only a child. I think we talked about this before, but last year I went to Reno, and that was my first sort of experience with Nevada at all, and it just freaked me out.
I still haven't been to Reno. Why did it freak you out?
Oh, man. Well, I mean, the thing that you would have experienced is just like how slot machines are everywhere was weird, like at the gate at the airport. Like, that was strange to me.
Yeah, well, it is strange. It's strange that I'm used to that.
Yeah, it's very weird. Like, I don't know how it would be. Well, I guess there is a bar at every gate. I'm trying to think of what else it would be like. It was just like there were like cigarette girls or something. It'd be like that weird to me. But Reno is, it was like the 80s, but not in a good way.
Oh, okay.
Like everyone was smoking, like chain smoking, like light a cigarette with the last cigarette, and indoors though, which I haven't seen in decades.
I don't know why, but the first thing that came to mind is, I bet everything was meatloaf covered. Meatloaf colored.
That's the other thing. Everything was covered in meatloaf. And both the food and the singer.
I meant to say colored, but covered kind of works too, I think.
It really does. There was just a thin layer of meatloaf in that ketchup crust, and it was kind of gross. I mean, people were like, oh, you get used to it. But, and they were like, it's a dry meatloaf. It's fine. Yeah, no, it was just very like sort of depressed. Like there were, which normally I like, but there was a lot of like, it just felt abandoned.
Yeah. Well, even in Vegas, you have that, just like little casinos that, kind of look like, a really big 1-story house. And okay. I remember I went to one randomly one time. I won. And I pressed the payout button and nothing happened. And a guy came up to me with a phone. He's like, hey, did you just press payout? I was like, yes, I did. He's like, all right, we got to do it this way. Here, let me scan your ID. All right, I'll be right back. He came back 20 minutes later with the $40. I was like, yeah, here you go. Like,
I had to go to my brother's house and borrow it. Wow. Yeah, like a little mom and pop casino. It's very strange.
They're all over the place. I like them. They're plucky.
Yeah, I mean, I think if I did go to Vegas, I would probably enjoy the older part more than like the Luxor would be the new part, I guess. I don't know anything.
When we first moved here, it was right in the middle of high school, and I was miserable. I didn't want to move to Las Vegas. I never even wanted to vacation here. And I remember as the plane was coming in, the first thing I feel like I saw was the Luxor, just this giant black pyramid in the middle of a city. And I was like, good God, I'm allowed to live here? Like, how do you live here?
It does seem very sort of 70s sci-fi dystopia. Like they worship a giant black pyramid in the middle of this thing, like Otherworld or something like that. It's very strange. And the only real sort of depiction I had seen of it was in the second season of Crime Story. Have you ever watched that?
No, I haven't.
Oh, Crime Story is amazing. It's Michael Mann, 1986, and it's set in the 60s, and it's basically like if you crossed Mad Men with Miami Vice. And it's Dennis Farina. It's amazing. So the first season it's in Chicago. The second season they go to Vegas, and it's pretty fantastic.
Yeah, I love Michael Mann, and the rest of my family is in Illinois and some are in Chicago, so that sounds perfect.
Oh, nice. It's a perfect combination. And Farina has the best threats I've ever heard in that thing. He's just like threatening people in every episode, because he's like the head of I think they call it a major crimes unit or something. And in the first episode, he goes up to some guy and he's like, I'm going to find everything you love and kill it.
Wow.
I'm like, all right.
And with his delivery.
Yeah, this is network television. This is great. But speaking of network television, I asked you what year you were looking for, and you wanted late 90s, so I think we got 98. Mm-hmm. And knowing your the affinity we share for Halloween, I picked Halloween week 1998, so I hope that sufficed.
I both appreciate that and was very overwhelmed with that. And I'm a Libra, and I'm very stereotypical in that I'm not good at decision making, so that was not easy. I'm not a big follower of astrology, but when I looked over the traits, I'm like, I can blame it on that.
It's always good when you have that as an excuse. Like I feel like people are more open to it these days. Like you can be like, that astrology. And they're like, oh, I get it.
Yeah, no, I agree with you, but especially not to bring down the room or anything, but bring
it down. Bring it down.
With the state of the world right now, at least personally, I feel like I've been checking my horoscope. Right. I don't know, more often, just maybe to feel like there's something bigger and more cosmic than what's going on.
Not to just be like, I'm just waiting for it to be like, Stephanie, Thursday, everything will be fine. Like it's just be very, very specific.
I'm just waiting for it to just say it's time.
Or it'll just be like, here's an address, go get the $40. He's got it now. It took about 10 years for you to win it. Yeah, it's a tough choice. And when I have people who are, because I think we're roughly of similar age, I think you're probably a little bit younger than me. And if you're not, I apologize for offending you, thinking that you are my advanced age. But when I've had younger people on, like people who are like 20 years old, they will look at this and be like, all right, I'm going to DVR this and watch it. And I'm like, no. You have to make a decision here. And it could be incorrect. You might make the wrong decision and watch a bad thing and you miss the good thing. That's what we had to deal with.
That's what it was like, yes. Because I love TV Guide.
Did you get it when you were growing up?
Oh my God, yeah. No, I loved it. I read as many articles that jumped out at me at first. And they're tiny little fun bite-sized things. But as the week went on, I'd be like, well, I'm bored. I'll read the rest of them.
Right.
But I was just a magazine freak growing up, and TV Guide, I feel like that was part of it.
What other magazines did you get? Were you a Fangoria?
Yes.
Okay.
I was really into Premiere was great.
Premiere was really good.
Oh, it was so good. It made me feel so grown up. It's like, I would always read in the bathtub, be like, I am a real insider. When I arrive in Hollywood 2 years from now with my script, like, I'm going to know how everything works.
It did feel very LA, and it felt like it wasn't like Variety, which looked like doctor prescription. I was like, I can't read, I don't understand this. But it was like way more inside than Entertainment Weekly.
Yeah, and it was fun. But, real teen girl magazines. I think I started... Sassy was a smidge before my time. It was the more sanitized ones like 17 Teen, Us, or not Us, but YM. And it got to the point where I would just memorize them, and I needed a fix. So I started going to Bookstar. Does anyone remember Bookstar? Hastings?
No.
Okay, well, let's just say Barnes & Noble.
Okay.
And they would import UK teen girl magazines.
Wow.
So I'd start buying those, like Australian teen girl magazines, and I'd learn about Billie Piper before she was on Doctor Who. So she just,
oh, you mean Billie Piper, who's been on this show?
Like, why am I here? You know what? Is it just too many charismatic and accomplished people, and you just need a palate cleanse?
No, you're. No,
it's fine. I'll come in. I'll sweep up the spotlight.
You're
my little
very
dust.
Interesting and a good writer, and I enjoy your taste. I often kid you, asking if we're the same person, because we do have to seem to have very similar taste in things.
That's true, and this is not meant as an insult, but I think we look a little bit like we could be related too.
No, I believe that. That sounds more like a compliment to me. Maybe we should do a DNA test. Maybe we'll find out something exciting.
We got the time right now.
It's true. Have you done one of those? Those 23andMe or something?
No, I haven't.
I did it because I was just like curious. Like this was when I don't want to be like I did it before it was cool, but kind of when it first came out, like a couple of years ago, and it told me I was the whitest white person that ever whited, like which I kind of suspected.
I'm pretty sure that's what mine is going to be.
Oh my God. It was just like, yeah, you're the whitest person, which I was like, all right, fine. And then I was all, okay, I'm done with that. But I still get emails from them like almost every day being like, we found DNA relatives. And I'm like, no, I've unsubscribed to this so many times.
Your fourth cousin just signed up with our service. Don't you want to know the results?
I'm like, no, I don't. And I feel like I read like every third one just in case it says like, we've cloned you. Just so
you really need to read things before you sign them.
Right. Like, I'm like, you never told me that. And they're like, no, we emailed you. But yeah, so I wouldn't recommend it. You don't.
Oh, okay.
It's not as exciting as I thought it would be, is what I'm trying to say. And that really applies to so many things.
Okay. Like, I don't find myself that interesting, so I'll buy into
really?
that.
I think you are. Because you've been writing about movies and stuff for a while, right?
Yes.
How long have you been?
It's hard to say because I started out with fiction, and that was my focus. And then I had kind of one of those blocks that kind of ruins your life for a couple of years.
Right.
And I kind of fell into film writing because I love writing and I love films. And I kind of thought to myself, well, it's less intimidating to write about that than fiction. Maybe that'll be a good way to kind of rehabilitate myself into writing.
Right.
And I became just very passionate about it. So that's been going on for a couple of years. It's been great.
Have you gone back to fiction at all or tried to go back to fiction?
I'm trying. It's there are things I know I have to push myself. I'm kind of lazy. I'm a bit of a procrastinator. But there are things I know if I do push them, it'll kind of ruin it for me. And writing a short story or anything longer than that is definitely in the realm of don't push it. Keep it in your mind, remind yourself of it, see how you're feeling. But if I push it, it'll screw it up again.
Just wait for the time to be right, like that kind of thing.
Yeah, some things are more delicate mentally and emotionally, I think.
You're waiting for the horoscope to be like, write it today.
I was trying to be like, oh, it's like a delicate emotional process. No, I'm waiting for the horoscope.
That's fine. Stop. We often excuse emotions by horoscopes. But I have to imagine how much of the sort of magazine freak was a part of that. Because, writing about movies and television and stuff, for me at least, definitely stems from reading things like Premiere and Entertainment Weekly and even Rolling Stone and all of those magazines, which were, having grown up. I mean, Boston's a city, but there's not a lot going on here if you don't like sports. And that stuff felt a million miles away. So those magazines, certainly in like a pre-internet world, were just like this essential lifeline.
Well, yeah, early internet too, because that stuff was costly. So you still had a lot of hours to figure it out. I remember when Almost Famous came out, and I wanted to write for Rolling Stone more than anything in the world at that age. So seeing it, I was like, holy crap. Like, I wish I was Penny Lane. I wish I was one of the cool rock stars. But no, I'm William. I just want to write for Rolling Stone.
Right. I want to be a teen journalist, and everyone can call me Scoop.
Yeah, it's like, that's possible? It's based on a true story.
Right. Yeah, Cameron Crowe still fascinates me. I feel like people don't talk enough about his weird life.
No. Wow. No. He hasn't written an autobiography, has he?
Not really. I mean...
I know a lot of his work is autobiographical.
Yeah, I guess it would be like almost like Hunter S. Thompson sort of embedded gonzo journalism in a weird... like a sweet version of gonzo journalism. But... yeah, I don't think he's written an autobiography, which I'm actually kind of shocked by. Like, he seems like he would be ripe for that kind of thing. But maybe he's just like, I don't care.
Maybe he's working on it right now.
Well, it's possible. It's possible. Let's get him on the phone and suggest it if he's not. But you were saying, so the articles in here, just when I flipped through this, the first thing I noticed is a big insider piece on Felicity Huffman.
Yeah.
Who we all know just went to prison for the school scandal. And this is like, she's a new actor. She's in Sports Night. Did you watch Sports Night at all? Do you remember that show?
No, and that was one, when I started dating, I would always date, guys a couple of years older than me. And good Lord, were they all, well, not that I dated a lot of guys.
All 700 of them.
A stadium full of dudes said I had to watch Sports Night. But it to guys of a certain age, or maybe every age, because I don't think I've ever I don't think I've ever heard a bad word against Sports Night.
Yeah, me
in my
either.
life.
And I had so many people been like, oh, I know you don't like sports, but like, it's not a sport, like, you're going to love it. And I think I watched half an episode and I was like, yeah, I don't really care about this.
No, and I think that's why I haven't seen it. And that's why I'm very careful when I recommend things. Because I know if I overhype it or push it too much, they'll probably never check it out. And I think that happened with me with Sports Night. Because I love Josh Charles. I'll pretty much watch him in anything.
Did you watch The Good Wife?
No, I have the first season on DVD waiting for me, but
it's really good.
I know, but you're doing it to me right now. You're pushing too hard, man. This'll
sell you on it though. The married couple who created that show. Mm-hmm. I'm going to name 2 films they wrote. Do you know this already?
No.
Okay. One of them is Phantom of the Mall, Eric's Revenge.
Oh my God, with young Pauly Shore.
Yep. And the other one is, oh my God, I forget the name. It's that Roger Corman cockroach movie from The Nest.
Oh, okay.
So they wrote
you do know how to sell things to me.
Yeah. I mean, they wrote those 2 exploitation movies from the late 80s and then kind of didn't do that much in the 90s. And then the next thing they did, really, is The Good Wife.
Oh, I love that. Okay. I'll see it. There's no, like, the Nest crossover, is there? Like,
there is, all the characters from the Nest, are actually the characters on The Good Wife. No, but they do, this won't ruin anything in the show for you, but in a very Twin Peaks way, they always have the people watching these made-up TV shows that are like really silly, violent, sort of Law and Order type cop shows that are sort of commenting on the show itself, but they're very much like Andy Sedaris movies, or like they're very low-budget, sort of Corman-esque, and they also reference like some obscure horror movies on that show all the time.
oh my god. Okay, I'll get started on it right now. I'm almost completely caught up with Dynasty, so I need another hour-long show.
Were you watching the original or the remake?
No, the remake. I think I'm one of 15 people watching that show.
I talked to someone recently who was loving the remake.
It's really fun.
Did you watch the original?
I'd seen a few episodes of it. I watched more of Dallas through DVD.
Okay. I never really watched any of those, so I was like, I don't, but I think I will check it out, because now you're the second person in very short amount of time to be like, Dynasty's fun.
Yeah, it is. Especially the season they just wrapped up. They're really leaning into like the cat fights in the water and the crazy murder mystery plots and putting on costumes and breaking into a cult. I'm like, all right, this is what I came here for.
I want this kind of insanity. That's what I'm here for. Speaking of insanity, there's two really weird little pieces in this on page 4 and 5. And this is October 24th to the 30th, 98. First of all, there's a weird article that compares Opie Taylor, not Ron Howard, the character Opie Taylor, to Holden Caufield from J.D. Salinger's Hitchman the Ride, which is real weird. I actually wanted
to ask you about that, because you, of course, are the expert. I don't know how familiar you are with John Sellers, who wrote this little box of fun, but is this serious? Like,
it's I've never seen anything like this in TV Guide before. It's real weird. I think it's tongue in cheek, but it's like, why? I don't even know why you would think of this.
And to what extent? Yes, so for the comparisons, it's Holden Caufield calls everyone phonies. Opie Taylor calls Aunt B on the phone. I feel like I have a good ear for satire, but I'm baffled a little bit.
Yeah, because he kind of sets it up where there's... So I guess there is a reason for this, in that there's a recent biography of J.D. Salinger that came out. Obviously, people know him best as the father of Matt Salinger, the best Captain America. But it says that he loved the Andy Griffith Show, and there was some speculation that he based Holden Caufield partially on Opie Taylor, I guess.
Or I wonder if the editor mentioned that, and they're like, just make something out of it, and they're like, what? Fine, here you go.
Yeah. I mean, no one's going to fact check this, right? So that's really weird. And then opposite it on the next page is a very poorly titled article, which is about a sort of a comedy Halloween episode of Dick Van Dyke's Diagnosis Murder, where they're parodying the X-Files, and it's guest starring Walter Coing, George Takei, Gene Roddenberry's son, I guess, Will Wheaton, Bill Mumy, but the title of it is An X-Rated Diagnosis.
I think that's a great headline.
I mean, it made me read the article.
Exactly. It actually, I have never seen an episode of that show in my life, although I do love Dick Van Dyke. But that had me change my choices for what I want to watch that night, because I was like, well, yeah, you can't miss that. I mean, no, that's
it does
so
seem kind of cool. It does seem kind of cool.
And it has such a great photo of Dick Van Dyke looking just pleased as punch, surrounded by these sci-fi heroes.
With George Takei doing like a fist, like, yeah, like he's kind of...
This is the team.
Well, it's funny. Dick Van Dyke goes to, or used to before the apocalypse, go to tons of autograph conventions.
Oh, that's nice.
Not as a guest.
Oh, just for fun?
Yeah, like he's a huge sci-fi horror nerd, and he will go like to the Hollywood show, and he gets people's autographs and is like psyched about it.
Could you
and
imagine?
Like, what? Yeah, he's
Dick Van Dyke coming up to your table?
Yeah, all the time. Like, there's so many people I know who were sort of like B-movie people or whatever, and they're like, and then Dick Van Dyke was like, I'm a huge fan. Here's $20 for an autographed photo.
Oh, that's wonderful, because genre actors don't often get a lot of the big touchstones in a career because they're not going to get Oscars most of the time.
Right.
But Dick Van Dyke asking for your autograph, I feel like that's how you know you are set. Yeah, you made it.
Yeah, I mean, I think he also, obviously I don't know him, but from what I gather, he has a real sort of blue-collar view of acting, where he's just kind of like, yeah, it's a job, and like, we're all plumbers, and you guys are really good at it. And like, so he kind of seems to appreciate those sort of journeyman people who are more, just working men kind of thing.
Oh, that's great.
Which is nice of him. And then we get into the celebrity buzz here. Normally I don't get as much into the articles here, but this being the Halloween issue, there's some good stuff.
Yeah.
And they talk about Courtney Cox and David Arquette and who meeting on the set of Scream.
Yes.
Scream 2 is coming out.
I always love that you could chart their relationship through the entire series.
I've not seen Scream 4.
That's
Should I see
good.
it?
Yeah,
Is it good?
no, I think so. Yeah, it is.
Because I hated Scream 3.
It's very different.
Okay.
Yeah. No, yeah, definitely see Scream 4.
And did you watch the TV series?
No, because it's one of those shows where it'll come out and a bunch of people will say, okay, guys, I know how it sounds, but it's actually great. 4 episodes later, they'll be saying, this is a travesty, never waste your time. And then it'll come to the finale and they'll be like, I guess I was wrong. And that seems to happen so often with Scream, the TV show.
Yeah, I've found that with a lot of sort of TV shows that try to, based on movies generally, where they're like, it starts off really good, and then they realize that you run out of steam because once you've gotten through the plot of the movie you're adapting, there's kind of nothing else there. And they're like, oh no.
And that's perfect because they have a news bit about Rachel Blanchard with the Clueless TV show.
Yes.
Which I did watch.
Which I watched as well, and was run by Tim O'Donnell, who worked on Growing Pains and is a friend of the show. But even that article talks about how she's going to be in Carrie II, the sequel to Carrie, which came out as Carrie II: The Rage, which I actually love that movie.
I do too. I saw it in theaters like opening weekend. I thought it was great.
Me too. And it never comes up. And it, like, the Carrie TV movie remake comes up a lot more, and I did not really care for that. And I feel like, much like Halloween 3, if Carrie 2 was just called The Rage, it would be like a classic.
I think you're completely right about that.
We need to champion Carrie 2, The Rage.
We do.
And the main actress who was in that, I feel like she just disappeared after that movie.
Yeah, I haven't really been keeping track. She was really wonderful in that, but...
She was great. She was one of those people who you're like, oh, she's going to be a big actress.
Yeah,
Nope.
Whenever that happens, I always just hope that they're like, oh, okay, that was fun, but now I'm older, I'm going to follow my dream of opening a flower shop, something like that. And they're completely fulfilled.
It's a veterinary hospital / flower shop. It's everything I wanted to be in the world. And on the same page, there's one of the most hideous Halloween ads I've ever seen for AMC's Monster Fest, which is showing, it's the Hammer Gorgon. It looks like the Hammer werewolf, but then Bela Lugosi Dracula.
Yeah,
And
it's like their werewolf mixed with Batboy.
Yeah, and Tim Burton is hosting that weekend. And looking at this, I'm reminded that I think probably 1998 to like 2005 might have been the worst time ever for graphic design.
God, no, you're right. And whenever I look back there, I think in the time I wasn't thinking to myself, this is terrible design, but I don't think I ever looked down and thought it was good either. Like that, and everyone had giant bobbleheads all the time. Do you remember that trend?
Yes.
I hated that. But yeah, this is like ultra stylized, flat, yeah.
Everything looks like sort of WWE Monster Energy drink / like way too slick sort of AOL avatars. It's just bad. And we have an article in here on Mr. Show, which I really enjoyed rediscovering, which is a really good article. I think it's talking about this like season 3 of the show, but nobody watched Mr. Show. It was super obscure, which probably sounds crazy to people now.
Yeah, I discovered it on DVD in my early 20s after, again, hearing guys champion it. But with the sketch show, I'll watch any sketch show anytime. I love them. And this, of course, is one of the best. And just looking at the photo and reading it, I'm like, these little upstart kids. And Bob Odenkirk, 35. Like, an infant.
Oh, he's just a young lad. Again, this will be like the DNA test. I did used to watch Mr. Show when it first started, but mostly because I was just up all night and I'd just throw HBO on. And I'm actually looking at it right now. I was a member of their message board. Wow. In like 1996 or something. And I answered a trivia question, and my prize, which I still have, is a Mr. Show bowling shirt with my name on it. And the Global Chem, like it's like a really nice embroidered Mr. Show bowling shirt.
Oh my God. I'm sorry, Ken. That's too 90s.
I know.
Bowling shirt? Oh.
Yeah. Oh, it's very swingers. It's very swingers.
Of course, I say that. I'm very jealous. That's
I mean, you're trying to disparage my winnings by claiming it's very
I'm projecting
90s.
Insecurity, and I want you to know that.
I understand, and I appreciate you having that candor with me. But I used to wear this shirt to high school, and people were like, "What the hell is that?" And I'm like, that's no one will ever know. If only I could fit into that shirt still.
So you weren't arrogant about it. You weren't like, you don't know Bob and David.
No.
Sometimes that works if you're being teased.
Yeah, I mean, I think everyone just thought I was like a huge druggie and psychotic in high school.
Oh,
Even though none of those things was true, because I was like a punk rock kid in a leather jacket and used to hang out in the city. So they were like, man, he probably stabs people.
You hang out in the city. You have to prove you'll kill someone to be allowed to hang out in the city, man.
There's only 2 ways in, man. I grew up in a really white suburb where literally, we're 8 miles north of Boston, and if kids had to go into the city, it was like a full-blown panic. You would go into the city if you were in the hospital. That would be the only time. Or like maybe you went in twice in your life. It reminds me of Adventures in Babysitting really captures that suburban terror of having to go into the city. That's what I most took away from that movie.
Oh,
so,
okay.
Kids,
I got really excited that you're about to say it's super realistic. I pretty much went through that entire movie.
I did. I only let mechanics who either look like Thor or have a hook hand work on my car. And I will stick to that till the day I die because of Adventures in Babysitting.
It served you well so far.
It really has. They did an Adventures in Babysitting TV series. They did a pilot, and it's real bad.
Oh, yeah.
It's up on YouTube. I've in lockdown, I've really been exploring the dark corners of YouTube more than I ever have in my life. And over the last year, people have uploaded like every unsold pilot ever. And it's amazing. Like stuff I'd only heard legends about are just up on YouTube now. Like the Darkman pilot, or it's all up there. And the Adventures in Babysitting one is up there. And it's if you like the movie, it's definitely worth watching just to like the movie even more.
All right, I'll check it out. I will say, despite all of its flaws, falling down YouTube holes reminds me of early internet. When it was just a mess. There were like 15 different search engines and they'd all give you different results. So you never knew where you'd end up. And it kind of reminds me, you can still find those little adventurous pockets.
Do you remember that search engine? I think it was called Stumble Upon.
Vaguely.
Yeah, it was sort of like that by design. It was really weird. It was like, yeah, we'll just kind of randomly give you something vaguely related to that, and then you'll be like, oh, cool.
Thanks.
Like, oh, that works. So let's dive in. Saturday night, October 24th. We're a week before Halloween, 1998. Do you remember what you did that Halloween?
That Halloween. Okay. I would have been freshly 15. My birthday is on October 2nd.
Oh, wow. Happy birthday.
Thank you. No, I had a really cool Halloween Sweet 16 birthday where I did the full Freddy Krueger with a full latex application the following year.
Oh, nice.
So this year I was probably just at a friend's house or something.
Because, like, 15 is definitely too old to go trick-or-treating.
Yeah.
But only, like, a year past when you could really push it.
Yeah, I remember hanging on to Treehouse of Horror extra hard because that was, like, my link from childhood Halloween into more grown-up Halloween.
Are the houses really spread out? I'm picturing Vegas. I'm picturing someone trick-or-treating in, like, downtown Las Vegas.
Well, no, because I grew up in apartments, and once we got our house in Albuquerque, no, because when you get out here in the Southwest, it's just really samey, brand new houses. I can't believe how close they are to each other. They look like they're a foot apart when you glance by them really quickly. Albuquerque was a good place to trick-or-treat, though, because all the neighborhoods were connected in such a way that was pretty fun. And I was too old in Vegas.
Oh, that's right. You moved when you're 16, so yeah, that wouldn't make any sense.
I do know trunk-or-treating is really big here, which...
what now?
Trunk or treat. It's basically when you're too afraid to let your children go regular trick-or-treating, so you go to something like a giant parking lot, and people have like decorated cars with their trunks open. They'll hand out candy that way, so your kid will kind of go from vehicle to vehicle, and that's their replacement trick-or-treating. So
you're grabbing Clark bars out of the back of like a lowrider.
I guess. I've only had it described to me by parents I know.
See, trunk or treat sounds like a weird prank dickheads I went to high school would play on younger kids.
It should. Someone should invent... I don't want anyone to do the prank, but someone needs to invent the prank.
Yeah, like a mayor's gonna run on a platform of ending trunk or treating in that town.
Oh, man. Yeah, we need to work on... That could maybe be a slasher movie, too.
That's true. What's your favorite slasher movie?
Ooh, that's hard, because that's my favorite subgenre. Oh, that's so hard. Fade to Black.
Oh,
Final
good call.
answer. Quick.
That's a good call. Because of that movie, I was slightly obsessed with Linda Carriage for like my teenage years and watched Surf 2 way too many times because she's only in like 4 movies.
Oh, that's so rough. Like when I fell in love with Joanne Nail. Do more movie.
I can only watch Alien from LA so many times.
And it is so many times because it's a great movie.
Yeah. I mean, might be Albert Pint's finest film.
Yeah, well, I would say definitely his most fun.
Because Cyborg, I've tried to rewatch. That's a boring, bad movie.
I just recently watched a bunch of the Nemesis sequels. I don't know why I said that, because I don't know what to follow that up with. I have a lot of mixed feelings about it.
I've only seen the first one because I love Rutger Hauer.
He's not in these.
What's the point then?
Well, Tim Thomserson shows up, and Sue Price, the female bodybuilder, becomes the lead. And while she's no natural actress, she's really compelling. It's kind of like that Herzog movie, Invincible, where he got this strong man to be the lead role. And it's not that they're great actors, but they have kind of this pure simplicity to them, and that comes through the character. And it's really interesting to see. Like
Arnold Schwarzenegger in Hercules in New York.
Yes, exactly the same.
I mean, what isn't exactly the same as that? Tim Thomerson, I would only be interested if there was like a Trancers crossover.
I kept hoping, because he was a bad guy and he was trying to trick her. So I'm like, he's going to transfer. It didn't happen.
Have you ever seen his stand-up? He started as a stand-up.
Oh, I would believe that. Whenever I see him in interviews on those full moon discs, I'm like, I've never seen any, but that's the least surprising fact I've ever been told.
Yeah, and he was, I don't want to say successful, but like he did TV, like he was on The Tonight Show, like he was on Solid Gold, doing stand-up, and his onstage persona was like this sort of surfer dude. And it was not quite like Pauly Shore, but like kind of in that category. So if you just imagine sort of that, you're pretty accurate there.
I started imagining how he looked in Cherry 2000, maybe not how he acted.
Yes, that is pretty accurate. like 10 years younger, there you go. That's Tim Thomserson's stand-up. He was doing stand-up at the Comedy Store at the same time as Craig T. Nelson.
Oh my God, you are giving me so many things to look up.
Yeah, and Michael Keaton, who also did stand-up.
Okay, now you're just fibbing to me. I don't appreciate it.
Started as a stand-up. It's very odd. Well, I think back then in the late 70s, that especially in LA, it was really hip to be a stand-up, and a lot of people who wanted to be actors decided that was like a good way to get noticed. So I think they started via that vehicle.
It's a kind of stage experience.
Yeah. I guess they're like, yeah, I can get on stage, whatever. So Saturday night, 8:00. This is the week before Halloween. What are you watching?
Okay, well, they're showing Casey Lemon's Eve's Bayou then. And I really wanted to choose that. And Gene Siskel has a great review of it in this issue, too.
I don't know them. Oh, Eve's Bayou. I don't think I've ever seen it.
Oh, yeah. Well, don't take my word for it. Take Gene Siskel's. It's a great film.
They give it 3 stars.
But I think I have to choose Xena Warrior Princess, which is a show that I wasn't devoted to, but when I'd stumble upon it, I'd always watch it. Especially because I'd always hoped Ted Raimi or Bruce Campbell would pop up.
Yes.
But it's the description that sold it to me. In an itchy and scratchy show, Xena, who has lice, and Gabrielle, who has a fungus and a variety of other ailments, take on marauding. I've never seen that episode. I
haven't either. I'm sold, though.
Yeah, no, it sounds incredible.
Take on marauding Scythians who have captured Argo. I think that show, when it was on, it became this phenomena, and everybody knew the sort of lesbian code underpinnings of it, and that's kind of what everyone focused on. But I don't think people really presented it as the comedy that it is.
Yeah, whenever I'd catch it, it was super goofy, and I am a huge fan of super goofy.
Yeah, it's very much like, if you like the Raimi's crew's sense of humor, it is all in that show. Like, if you love Crimewave,
and who doesn't?
And I've seen people with whole back tattoos of Crimewave. I haven't. That's a lie.
Oh, I was just going to ask if they were single, but that's fine.
Yeah. I'll hook you up with them. But yeah, it's in that vein. Like, it has that vibe to it. It's really not that different from Evil Dead in a lot of ways. And which is kind of why I love that Evil Dead TV series with Lucy Lawless.
Fantastic.
It's great. But it fits with both it's kind of the bridge between Evil Dead and that Xena Warrior Princess.
Yeah.
If people need a compromise show, like, say one person in the relationship's really into Evil Dead and one person's really into Xena, and they're arguing all the time,
and the one person, that's perfect.
Then they'll just be happy forever, or at least for how long it takes to watch 3 seasons of Ash vs. Evil Dead. So you're watching that for an hour, and then what are you doing at 9?
At 9, okay. Because it's the week before Halloween, there are a lot of movies going on that I am very interested in. But I didn't want to only pick films. But tonight I have to, because they're showing Tales from the Crypt Demon Knight.
Yeah. I love that movie.
It's so fantastic. Talk about mixing fun with horror. Probably one of the finest examples.
Might be my favorite horror movie of the 90s, I'm going to say.
It's a fine choice.
It manages to do the comedy and horror thing that I think a lot of people miss, in that the horror is scary. The stakes are high.
Legitimately, yes.
Because sometimes when it's too funny, like, you're just like, oh, I don't care. No one is in peril.
Yeah, and Billy Zane is the perfect foil because, of course, he can be charming and smarmy and funny. But the second he wants to switch it and get dark, he can go there. It's one of those roles I think only he could have done.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, maybe Jean Larroquette, a young Jean Larroquette, maybe. But yeah, it might be, it's easily my favorite Billy Zane performance, I would say.
Yeah,
more than Titanic and The Phantom. But that movie's great. I saw that opening day in the theater. I was so excited. And as excited as I was for that, I was disappointed with Bordello of Blood.
Really? You're the first person I've ever met who doesn't love Bordello of Blood.
I don't dislike it, but it's just, I mean...
Nah, it's a mess.
Dennis Miller in the lead? Isn't his name...
That stunt cat, it's very in keeping with how they would cast the TV show, so I do respect that. But to give him an entire film vehicle, I don't know. It's like, give Morton Downey Jr. a half-hour episode. That works.
Yeah.
Dennis Miller, 90 minutes? Come on.
Playing a character named, I think his name's Rafe Gusterson. It's like some really silly name. There's too much Corey Feldman. Chris Sarandon's good in it, but that as good as Demon Knight is, Bordello of Blood is a mess. I don't know if you've ever heard this, and this may be apocryphal, but I've heard that The Frighteners was written to be the third Tales from the Crypt movie.
Yes.
Okay, so that is legit.
Yes.
See, because that would have been amazing, because it's a great movie as it is.
It is, and I'm kind of happy it's not, I don't want to say saddled because I'm obsessed with Tales from the Crypt, but it's nice that it lives on its own. And that one, that was one I saw in theaters as well, and I was able to get my mom to take me because she loves Michael J. Fox.
Nice. There's your compromise right there.
Well, worked out because I got her to take me from Till Dusk Till Dawn because she loved George Clooney on ER, and that did not work out. She made us walk out of that one.
Do you remember at what point you had to
Yes,
walk out?
I do. The exact one. It's when they started playing the instruments made out of body parts.
Okay. That was
when we left.
Bridge too far for her, that right there.
No, it was totally like she's just she is just making great time down the aisle, and I'm like looking back, like trying to see as much gore as possible before I have to go.
The only movie my dad ever made us leave was Hardware.
Oh, okay.
Richard Stanley's Hardware, and I really wanted to see it because I had read about it in Fangoria, and I was 9 or 10, I think, and we had to go see it at this really skeevy theater in a part of Boston called the Combat Zone.
Okay.
That's legitimately what it was called on maps.
That's some good atmosphere.
And it was right next to a porno theater, and there was only one other person in the theater. And the scene where the weird fat guy is watching them have sex and talking dirty, my dad was like, "We're out of here." Which, probably a good call.
Yeah.
As a
he
parent.
has a line, they crossed it. Fair enough.
Yeah. Weirdly, when I had Stacey Travis on, I talked to her about that. And that was strange because she's in that scene. Okay, so Demon Knight is what you would watch if you're going to watch a movie all night, but you didn't want to go there. So you went with, what did you go with at 9? Did you say it?
No, I did allow myself a few movies.
Okay, so you are going to go with Demon Knight.
Yeah,
okay.
I could easily probably go 95%. But I can't say no to Demon Knight.
I do want to say that the reboot of Fantasy Island was on. And not the recent reboot. This was the 1998 reboot. And in this episode, also a former guest this year, Olivia Dabo, is in it. And a woman who loves giving advice is made the host of a talk show where her own dirty laundry is made public.
That also sounds like a Tales from the Crypt episode.
Yeah, they really made this more like Tales from the Crypt because in the original Fantasy Island, it wasn't always like a morality play, and the remake really was. Like, they leaned into the horror stuff, and because the second one, meanwhile, a businessman wants to lose his conscience and become ruthless.
Oh, wow.
So it had a weird tone. It sort of reminded me of Freddy's Nightmares in a weird way because it always had two stories. But no one, I think it was less than 6 episodes. It was very short-lived.
I had no idea it existed, but I've never seen an episode of Fantasy Island.
The original?
No, I just know it from pop culture references, like the Surreal Life fame game, when they're like Vern Troyer, we're doing a Fantasy Island thing, and then I just feel like really bad.
Yeah, that season of the Surreal Life
fame games.
Yeah.
What a mess. I mean, that whole show is a mess.
It really is. It really is. I remember in the series that Vern Troyer was in, Jordan Knight was also in it. And Jordan Knight, got the single room and stacked a bunch of boxes up against the door so no one could come in. And I'm like, yeah, it sounds like a Jordan Knight move.
I don't know him personally, but that's the kind of thing they accuse only children of. And I'm like, no.
And you've never done that. You've never stacked boxes in front of your door,
no.
so that Brigitte Nielsen could not barge into your bedroom.
I'd make like a trail of rose petals for her to come in and just hang out with me.
Do you remember when they shot test footage and had planned to do a She-Hulk movie with her?
No.
It looked awesome. This was like maybe 1990, I want to say, and it's right before Marvel basically went bankrupt, so anything they had, partly due to Albert Pinn's Captain America, but it looked really cool, and she would be an awesome She-Hulk, but sadly never to be.
I hate hearing about near misses like that. Just these alternate realities we could have had.
What's your most painful near miss that you've heard of?
None are coming to mind right now, so it's going to be Brigitte Nielsen as She-Hulk, because I am a little devastated by that.
Yeah.
How about you?
That's up there. David Lynch directing Fast Times at Ridgemont High.
Yeah, that would definitely
be up there. Also, David Lynch's Ronnie Rocket, which we'll never see. Probably David Cronenberg's Total Recall.
Oh, yeah, that is a huge one.
Yeah,
they're doing makeup tests and everything.
Oh yeah, and a lot of the script that they ended up with was stuff that Cronenberg put in when he rewrote the script, which is weird because he gets no credit in the movie.
And he doesn't like the movie that got made, so.
No. But I do love Paul Verhoeven.
Oh no, I love Total Recall. That's
a
wacky blast, that movie.
I have not seen the remake, but I've been told it's good.
Really, I've been told it's boring. And if it's kind of like why I won't see the RoboCop remake, I've tried to not be snooty about remakes any longer. But if I hear they're boring and the original is great, I don't really see the point.
Yeah, I'm kind of the same way where I'm like, well, I have this one. I don't need a new one. Like you can have that if you want. I don't need that. Sunday night, what'd you do?
Sunday night would have definitely been Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
So I just want to back up a little bit because I know it's 8 to 10, but at 6 o'clock, the episode of Baywatch is just bonkers. And this isn't quite a Halloween episode. And if you want Halloween Baywatch, I cannot recommend season 2 of Baywatch Nights enough. I don't know if you're familiar.
I am familiar, and now I'm regretting my choice. But I know back in the day I would pick Buffy over everything. Yeah,
I mean, Baywatch Nights, where Mitch becomes the Night Stalker, or more Carl Kolchak in his spare time at night, is amazing. But this one is a mysterious lifeguard begins making rescues around Baywatch, but vanishes before getting caught by the officials.
For unauthorized life-saving?
There's like a vigilante lifeguard. I'm like, I need to see that because that's just too good. But maybe I might rewatch that. But Buffy the Vampire Slayer, this is the first season, I believe, of Buffy?
No, I think it's the third.
Is it the third? Let me see what episode this is. When a teen is slaughtered during a full moon, the gang fears it might be Oz. Oh yeah, he's already a werewolf by then. Mm-hmm. So yeah, this is later. I've never seen all of Buffy.
Yeah, it was a show. It came out. I love the movie. I was like, that sounds so cheesy. Why would you make a show of that? But I tuned in when the second half of the pilot was airing. And it was great. It was exactly what I wanted at that age. And I made a Angel Fire web fan page for it.
Oh, wow.
I would buy like ridiculous things like retail boxes of Buffy the Vampire Slayer Chupa Chups, is that how you pronounce it? The lollipops?
Oh, yeah. Chupa Chups.
Yeah, they would freaking have like the Master Vampire printed on the wrapper. Like,
oh, I didn't even know that.
Yeah. No, I was full in on Buffy. By all the novelizations. Like,
oh, wow.
But I would definitely tape that Baywatch Nights now that you told me about it.
I mean, vigilante vigilante lifeguard. That just sounds like a comedy sketch.
No, me now would choose that, but
Also on at 9 o'clock that night, I don't know if you saw this, but speaking of boring remakes, there is a contemporary and sentimental take on the classic fairy tale Beauty and the Beast. It is on CBS and it is called Just Beauty, and it stars Janine Turner, and this sounds awful.
that kind of makes me want to see it, though.
The 1998 TV movie stars Janine Turner as artist Alex Miller, who's commissioned to paint the portrait of a wealthy recluse, Lee Crumpton. The eccentric Crumpton is reluctant to keep his appointment for a sitting, however, and Alex soon learns why. A rare bone disorder has left him terribly disfigured.
Oh,
It just sounds really sad and not like no whimsy or magic or like any... Yeah, that's... It also reminds me of, are you a fan of the Monster Club?
Which
Vincent
one?
Price. The Vincent Price.
Yes.
Our Chetwood Hayes thing. But the first story in that with the Shadmock, where the woman is supposed to be so repulsed by the way he looks, but I don't know if they just didn't have a budget to do makeup, but he literally just looks like an average English guy.
It makes you wonder about the casting process if they're just
Right?
like, we don't have a lot for the makeup on this one. I don't know what accent I'm supposed to do.
Yeah, no, that works. I was
we
buying
need
it.
someone that works well pre-makeup. Like, oh, all right, guess it's your job.
But he's not even that weird looking. Like,
No.
And they didn't adjust the script at all. So he like answers the door and she's like, my God, he's hideous.
You know what I hate, though, and I know actors, they choose their roles. They're incredibly strong people, and they know how the business works. But whenever I'm watching anything and they talk disparagingly about how that actor looks, you know, through the character, I feel terrible for them. I hate it.
Yeah, because it's not their fault, and they're cast to be essentially made fun of.
Exactly. And most of the time, there's nothing wrong with how they look. They just look like a regular, normal person instead of a Hollywood person.
Right. And that one definitely reeks of that. I was like, and I know makeup was an issue because half of the monsters in that club are literally wearing masks from Woolworths.
Yeah, they come for the masks, and it's a great rock and roll club, though. You can't argue with that music.
If we lived in a perfect world, which we certainly do, and we could ever leave our houses again, and I had an unlimited amount of money to invest in things that would be failures, I would do a Monster Club pop-up.
Oh my God, yeah. That'd be
so cool.
I'm not a club person, which is...
Me either.
I'm living in the right city, but I would go to that.
Yeah. I mean, it couldn't be that hard. You put up that family tree poster, some green lights, and you're there.
I just have this mask I made out of construction paper. That's perfect. Yeah. Come on.
It's hideous. Oh my God. So I'd like to see a remake of the third story in that about the Hume Goose. Because parts of that are genuinely terrifying.
No, that's such a fun movie. But they're not showing that this week, are they? Yeah.
No. I wore out Thriller video VHS tape of that from my local video store. I loved it. Nickelodeon's showing Halloween-themed episodes of things all week, so it starts this night. There's Halloween episodes of Alan Strange, which I don't know, Alex Mack, Animorphs, Rugrats, Cat Dog, and Hey Arnold. And the Spookfest begins tonight with a new Shelby Woo, a show I also never watched.
Yeah, I remember it being on, but I never actually watched it. No, I was a huge Nickelodeon fan, too, so I would definitely be watching that.
Yeah, I was a SNICK, hardcore SNICK.
Oh, SNICK was great. My grandparents used to do the UPC box tops for me, so I would just get the most random things in the mail. And one of my favorites was a keychain that was filled with globules of green slime, and it was a SNICK themed one. So it had the logo, it had the orange couch floating around it, like some house or some show names, like Roundhouse was in there.
Oh God, do you still have it?
No.
Oh man, did you get the Pete and Pete soundtrack cassette?
Oh my God, yes. The Polaris, yes.
Yep.
I played that thing out.
That was a coveted piece of ephemera before they re-released that on CD. Like, people who had sent away the box tops for that thing were just untouchable.
Oh, I had no idea. No, I just thought they were really pretty songs, and I like listening to them.
It's great, but yeah, you had to send away the box tops for it. So that's from 8 to 9, and then what are you doing at 9 o'clock?
Oh, 9 o'clock? Well, I noticed that there is a celebrity deathmatch episode then that has Kelsey Grammer, and they were also doing Frasier reruns at the exact same time slot, so I'm sure that was really rough for Kelsey Grammer fans.
Probably. Although I wonder, it's Kelsey Grammer versus Roseanne in Celebrity Deathmatch. Mm-hmm. I would put my money on Roseanne.
Yeah, she does seem like she'd be a little bit more ruthless. But I didn't choose that. I chose a show I've never seen, but I've always been intrigued by, which is Silk Stockings.
Yes, you've never seen Silk Stockings.
No, I remember seeing ads for it on USA, right?
USA. It started initially on CBS, and CBS did this weird summertime. They were trying to have like sexy late night programming, and the tagline was literally CBS late night. It's too hot to sleep, which was for real the campaign. And Silk Stockings was one of the shows, and the other show was Nick Knight. But it was when Rick Springfield was Nick Knight before the syndicated series. Not Nick at Night. Nick Knight, the show about a vampire detective. And it was a horrible misstep, and all the shows were canceled. But then Silk Stockings was picked up by USA Network in conjunction with some Canadian network to do new episodes. And so it's sort of like your standard 90s Shannon Tweed erotic thriller, but with no sex or nudity.
That would probably like it, because I would see ads for Silk Stockings like, oh, that's what being a grown-up is like. It's just very sexy and mysterious. And I would, a couple years before this, I'd stay up to watch horror movies late at night at Cinemax because I had to sneak them, and that's how I would see them. And there'd always be a softcore movie before them, and I would be so annoyed. I'd maybe catch part of it, and I'd start getting pulled into it, and then they'd start having sex. I'd be like, oh, come on. When are you going to play Leprechaun 3?
Yeah, well, they were boring. They were so boring. All those...
Yeah, I guess you're taking out the essential element of why most people are watching it. So.
No, I mean, even the softcore movies on, like, Skinemax. Like, because I, too, would be like, come on, it's time for drive-in reviews or whatever. But I would be like, I don't even know, some Shannon Tweed movie, like they have names like Obsessed Red 3 or something, which I don't think is an actual movie, but
I want it to be.
I do, yeah. It would just be so boring because it's like a bad 90s action or horror movie with no action or horror, and then just silly sex scenes that go on like way too long because that's all people, I guess, were tuning in for. What a weird decade, because the sort of I guess it's post Basic Instinct, but pre sort of internet high speed, we got inundated with those things, and then they're just forgotten and gone because they're awful. No one has any nostalgia for those.
No, I guess it's one of those things where a really sexy movie will become wildly successful, and instead of the people in charge saying like, oh, it's because it was really well acted, it had an interesting script, and the sex was hot. Yeah. They actually cared about that, but everything surrounding it is interesting too. There's like, oh, okay, we'll just do some gauzy hump scenes, and we can use that script that's been on the shelf for years.
We'll make it like noir-y, We'll put like some...
Which means the male lead is just angry, apparently.
Angry. He doesn't shave. We got ceiling fans and Venetian blinds and maybe some neon, and we're good. That's all we need.
Bingo, bango, we got ourselves a picture.
Yep, cut. That was basically Silk Stockings.
Damn.
Yeah. It went on forever, too. It went on for like 10 seasons. And they recast like the main roles a couple times because it went on so long. It was, I don't know who watched it.
It was like Menudo with Silk Stockings.
It was. Silk Stockings was the Menudo of neutered erotic television series.
Well, in that case, I'd probably peace out early to the Laverne and Shirley rerun, because I love those gals.
On Nick at Night, and that was always like just a reliable channel to tune onto if there was nothing else on. There's also another made-for-TV movie with a sort of Halloween theme that night, and it is called Thirst. When a deadly parasite that deprives the body of hydration contaminates the water supply of San Paulo, a chemical engineer played by Adam Arkin struggles to find a way to kill the bug and get it out of the town's water supply. I mean, it sounds kind of fun.
Yeah, I want to change my... You keep making me want to change my answer.
Oh, sorry.
I hate being a Libra, Ken. I hate it.
I know. I'm a Cancer. I make people do things they don't want to do.
Hey, I was going to say like my mom, but I mean a Cancer, not making people do things.
I don't know if that's a Cancer thing. I just made that up, but people would probably believe me. I would make them believe that was true. And the 1995 Young Comedians special is on at 10 o'clock with Dave Attell, Louis C.K., and Dave Chappelle.
Yeah, there are chunks of that I would like to see. There are specific chunks.
Yes, Monday night. What are you doing as we creep closer to Halloween?
Monday night is rough because they were doing a lot of Stephen King miniseries going on then. I think 8 o'clock I would check out Suddenly Susan, which I would watch occasionally as like a casual show, but it has a Halloween party.
Yes, and this is Brooke Shields. This is her big sort of comeback show.
Yeah,
she didn't take herself seriously. Judd Nelson. A show that I used to get confused with Veronica's Closet and Just Shoot Me.
Yes, I was just going to say Just Shoot Me all the time.
They all kind of sort of just became the same thing.
Oh, and Caroline in the City.
Yes, which is also on that night with a Halloween theme. And Will and Grace is on that night. So it's all Halloween episodes on NBC that night. So let me see. So they go to a Halloween party, but what's crazy? What happens? Everyone shows up at Susan's Halloween party. Everyone, that is, but Jack, who's played by Judd Nelson. He's AWOL, and his alibi about his whereabouts doesn't hold water.
Which sounds pretty boring unless he was late because he murdered someone or something.
Yeah.
But they probably didn't go there on Suddenly Susan.
It might turn out he's actually his character from Relentless.
I was going to say from Tales from the Crypt, when he's just cooking people up.
Yeah. He's from New Hampshire and is in Boston occasionally, and we would see him every so often, and it was real weird.
Oh, at first I thought you were going to say, New Hampshire people, you can't trust them.
So 8:30.
8:30. I chose a show I've never seen before because it sounded like a halfway decent Halloween episode, and that's Conrad Bloom.
Yeah, I've never heard of this either, but it has Steve Lattisberg, who I love, who was on Barney Miller and died not long after this. But this is Conrad frets over a creative costume to break the ice with Faye at her Halloween party. Meanwhile, George takes a shine to Conrad's mother after a case of mistaken identity.
I always like awkward mom flirting episodes.
Yeah. And this is older, but like Steve Lattisberg was like probably in his 50s. So I don't know if this show is like about older people, but that's interesting. What's your best Halloween costume ever? Was it the Freddy Krueger?
Yeah, it was probably the Freddy Krueger. I was Death from the Seventh Seal.
Oh, okay.
But also from Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey.
Yep.
Because my dad showed me the Ingmar Bergman one after I loved that one so much. And so that year, I have a photo. I was a really crappy death. And one year I was Gelsomina from La Strada, which I did completely black and white, just like the movie, but everyone just thought I was a mime.
Oh, yeah, that's a backfire.
So that was a bummer.
Yeah.
Maleficent. I was a fairly decent Maleficent.
That's a pretty good one. That's a pretty good one.
What was your best? Probably something amazingly cool.
No, it really wasn't. I always had really bad Halloween costumes. We were like a Ben Cooper household for years. And then we have this amazing store called the Joker's Wild, which is still there. And in the time before Halloween stores, when you had to get your costume at like the drugstore, they were a costume shop. So once a year we'd go on like a mythical trek to this place to get our Halloween costume. And it was so good that I was always completely overwhelmed and didn't know what to be. So I would end up being something stupid like, oh, I'm the Terminator. Or you could buy those Joe Belasco makeup kits there.
Nice.
And so I would get one of those and I'm like, oh, I have a wound. That's my costume. Because we never went there. So I'd be like, what's the coolest thing I can get? And it wasn't always the best costume. So yeah, never had a great costume. I dressed up as Space Ghost one year as an adult and did a stand-up show as Space Ghost. That was kind of fun.
So you're a liar because that's a great costume and you did stand-up in it.
That's true, but it was in my adult life, not as a child. Like if I was Space Ghost as a kid, that'd be good.
Oh, as a kid, I'd probably have to go with my first one ever, which was Wonder Woman with the little plastic mask and everything. I love that.
The Ben Cooper Wonder Woman, the garbage bag and plastic mask.
I made it work.
Yeah, I'm sure. It's all in the presentation. So 9 o'clock, what'd you do?
Another one I know only from legend, which is Desmond Pfeiffer.
Yes, the notorious Secret Diary of Desmond Pfeiffer. This was a UPN show set in the antebellum South and was about a slave named Desmond Pfeiffer, and it is as bad as you've heard.
Now, I remember when it first came out and I'd see ads for it, and there are so many stupid shows that I don't even think that level of stupidity stood out to me. Just that, that doesn't look like anything I need to watch. But later on when Clerks, the animated series came out and they dunked on it, I'm like, oh, maybe I should check it out.
Because it was on the same time as Homeboys in Outer Space and Shasta McNasty.
UPN was really going all in.
Yeah, because UPN really just launched as a way to do new Star Treks. And then they were like, oh, geez, I guess we should have sitcoms. I don't know. It was such this weird afterthought. And yeah, Desmond Pfeiffer is just bizarre. It's basically a remake of the show Benson, except takes place during the Civil War and is really racially insensitive.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, that is a difficult show to see now. So after you visited Desmond Pfeiffer, no, it's worth watching because it's like I can't believe that was a thing. So I want to see that now.
It almost sounds like a show that would have been listed on UHF when they did just the quick cuts of all the different TV shows.
Yes, or like a thing from Stay Tuned.
Yes, like, oh God, we landed in Desmond Pfeiffer.
Yes. This is a thing. 9:30, what'd you do?
Will and Grace, which I also watch casually. But, again, it's Ingmar Bergman.
Yes.
Movies on Halloween. But then crazy kids show up, and that sounds like the kind of goofy, corny kind of thing I dig.
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of curious to watch this now because it's always interesting to see how Ingmar Bergman can integrate into a sitcom. Man.
It's also normally making fun of like how boring it is and all the close-up shots, but
that's true. There's an Ingmar Bergman joke on Newhart that gets me every single time. I don't know if you were a Newhart fan, but there's a running gag where Michael is obsessed with the movie The Boogans.
Okay.
Of all things. And there's an episode where he comes in and he goes, Stephanie, you know that Ingmar Bergman festival they're having at the theater downtown? And she goes, yes. And he goes, well, it's finally over and they're showing The Boogans.
That's great.
And it's fantastic.
Oh,
and I'm like, God. What a weird, obscure movie to constantly... like, it comes up in like 4 or 5 episodes that he just loves the movie The Boogans.
I wonder if someone was a big fan of it or if they happened to see that title and they just thought it was so funny they couldn't stop using it.
It is a hilarious title. And for years, that movie was like a lost movie. Like, it wasn't on VHS. You couldn't see it. So, man, yeah, The Boogans. Tuesday, what are you doing?
Tuesday, I am starting out with Home Improvement, which I was a devoted fan of, and they always had the best Halloween episodes.
Yeah, I get a lot of guff for this from listeners, and I'm sorry, but I really disliked Home Improvement.
No, I try watching it now. I'm like, woof, I was truly young.
Yeah, I always describe it as going to sleep at night in your own bed and then waking up in the middle of a Hess gas station for some reason. Oh, that's how I felt watching Home Improvement. But people have sworn up and down their Halloween episodes are great. So I have gone back and watched some of the Halloween episodes, and there is some value there. But I still just find Tim Allen insufferable.
Do you like the Toy Story movies?
I've only ever seen the first one.
Oh, okay.
But I loved it. Like, I thought he was well cast in it, because he's not doing the Tim Allen thing, which is annoying. Like, he's well cast in that, I think.
He is, as a stupid spaceman, yes.
Yes. You stupid spaceman. Spaceman. Go over the spacemans and ask them if you can borrow a cup of sugar. Yeah, so this one is when Wilson disappears after his Halloween party. Tim suspects the woman he advised Wilson to dump, who claims to be a witch. Okay. Also that night, Eric Stoltz shows up on Mad About You, which is probably what I would have watched.
All right.
He always played Jamie's Psycho X, which was always exciting. And then at 8:30, what'd you do?
8:30, Clueless, because they're doing a Scream spoof.
Yes! The Clueless Halloween episodes are great. I think they did 3 of them. They're really well done.
To go back. I had the novelizations from the TV show.
Oh, how are those?
I enjoyed them at the time, but back then, did you know they had a book series just for Stephanie from Full House?
No.
They did, and I had all of them.
And they're great, right?
I haven't felt compelled to revisit them, but I enjoyed them.
You know how, like, the Die Hard sequels are unrelated scripts that they polished off and then just threw the characters in there?
Yeah.
I'm wondering if, like, the Stephanie books were, like, manuscripts people had submitted to that book company, and they were just like, yeah, I don't know, just change the name to Stephanie, it's fine.
When did she become a grizzled ex-Chicago cop? This one's weird.
Wow. When that scene where Stephanie had to turn in her gun and badge.
She has a second family? What?
God, her evil pen name's real? Yeah, man. So you're watching, what'd you say at 8:30? Did I ask you? Oh, Clueless.
Yeah,
that's right.
Clueless.
The Scream spoof. And this is a 2-parter as well. Even better.
Pretty exciting. I love me a cliffhanger.
And then 9 o'clock, what'd you do?
Felicity.
So I never watched Felicity.
I used to really love it. Carrie Russell, I'd look at her and I'd be like, oh, I hope I'm exactly like her once I start college.
Which you were.
Ugh. But no, it was a fun show, and she dresses up as the Bride of Frankenstein, and you have the Amy Jo Johnson. They have a Pink Ranger costume joke in the episode, but she gets to be
that's kind of
Catwoman.
fun. That's pretty fun. Yeah, I need to go back and watch that. That's a show that was always just on, and I felt like very neutral about it. Like, I'm like, it seems fine.
No, yeah, I feel like if it didn't immediately speak to you as either a young woman or someone moving to a new city or something, it looks kind of beige to me in the hindsight, so I can see that.
Yeah, it just looked like, it was like the equivalent of YM. It was just kind of like there.
That was a good callback.
Yeah. All right, that's everything on Tuesday. Let's go Wednesday night. Is it?
Because real quick, because on AMC at 10 o'clock, Monster Mania starts.
Yes.
Which is a compilation of clips from 1997 that covers, like, the lifestyle, the pop culture lifestyle. And I would love to see that. I love pop culture documentaries like that.
And hosted by Jack Palance.
Yeah, so I would definitely stay up for that.
That does sound pretty cool. They did a version of that Elvira hosted as well a couple years later that I really liked too. But yeah, I love those things.
I have that on DVD.
Yes, as do I.
I watch every Halloween. What? We're totally siblings. I'm not an only child. This is great.
We probably have the same DVD collection. Did you get Not for Publication and Wild Palms in the mail today?
No.
You should.
Okay.
Did you ever watch Not for Publication?
Mm-mm.
It's Paul Bartel, and it stars
No, you can stop
Nancy.
there. I'm in.
Yeah.
We'll
Nancy
go on,
Allen.
but I'm in.
Okay. It's very good. It's a weird comedy about Nancy Allen and David Naughton, and they write for like a Weekly World News type tabloid.
Oh my God, this sounds great.
And it has full musical numbers in it.
What?
Yeah, it's pretty great. And then Wild Palms was written by, who is the guy? He was married to Rebecca De Mornay for a while. I don't remember his name now, but it was a mini series that took place in 1997 and is about like a virtual reality killer.
I love those.
It's very 90s, but it's pretty exciting. So Wednesday night, what are you doing?
Wednesday night, I have only one choice, and it's something I've been wanting to see since I heard of its existence not that long ago, and that's Hider in the House, the 1989 Gary Busey vehicle.
Yes, this is a disturbed man, which you don't even need to say is Gary Busey, but it is, takes residence in an attic, unbeknownst to the homeowners. Mimi Rogers is in this. This was, I believe, a made-for-TV movie, but I may be wrong. And did you ever see Bad Ronald?
Oh, yeah, I love Bad Ronald.
Yeah, it's basically Bad Ronald with Gary Busey.
Okay, yeah, no. And I looked that up. I was like, geez, I need to see that. And I did see it is on YouTube.
Excellent.
So I can finally check it out.
The greatest Gary Busey story I've ever heard was told to me by Curtis Armstrong.
Oh, my God.
And Curtis was in a Christian movie, and he didn't know it was a Christian movie. Like, he just took the gig, and Gary Busey was in it. And there was a scene that took place in heaven, and Busey shows up on set, and he looks around, and he goes, "No, not doing it." And they were like, "What's the matter?" And he goes, "I died and been to heaven. The lighting isn't like that, and they don't have those couches."
Oh, my God.
So it gets crazier. So then the director goes, "I also died and went to heaven, and this is exactly what it looks like." And they start getting into an argument about it, like a really heated argument. And then one of the extras chimes in, and he's like, "I died in Vietnam, and then I was stabbed in New York 4 years later and died. I've been to heaven twice, and they do have this lighting." But so it turned into this huge argument between the three of them, and they had to shut down shooting for the day.
Are you serious?
Yes.
That's my new favorite thing I've ever heard in my life.
Oh, it's amazing. And then my favorite thing is when Curtis told it to me, he ended the story by going, "Absolute lunatics."
Oh my God, that's wonderful.
No, they don't have these couches. I've been there. Fair enough, Gary. Whatever you want to do.
I can't argue with that. Well, I can. No. I can too.
I've been there. They have this exact couch. Wow. Yeah, I think I'm going to watch Hider in the House, too. That sounds like a fun night of weirdness. Mimi Rogers just disappeared. She was in a good episode of Tales from the Crypt.
Oh, yeah, one of my favorites.
That's a very, very good one. And then she just kind of disappeared. Charmed is on that night, too, which is a show I never watched, but now will watch when they show like 45 episodes in a row on TBS.
I would watch it with my mom. My mom really liked it.
Did your mom like horror stuff generally, or
no? My mom does not like gore or anything like that, but she likes supernatural things that are parallel to that. Like she loves practical magic and charm. She'd watch Buffy every once in a while, if it was like they're like witches or something, but it couldn't get gross or gory,
right? So she'd watch like Dark Shadows, maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. All right. That's fair. My mother was the opposite and just like gore.
Cool mom.
So yeah, we're watching that all night. There's a Halloween episode of Chicago Hope. No, thank you. And then there's the gimmick episode of South Park where they tried to get as many bleeps in as they could.
We were so young then.
Yeah, season 2. And the Friars Club roast of Drew Carey, one of the first roasts that Comedy Central did, which, man, that turned the world into a bad place. Thursday night, October 29th, 1998, as we get spookier and spookier here.
It is. There's cobwebs surrounding me all of a sudden.
It's true.
Well, you gotta do Simpsons Treehouse of Horror Volume 9.
And this was back when they would actually air it before Halloween.
Okay, they have gotten much better about that now that nobody's watching it, I guess. The past few years, they've been right on time. But it used to get preempted so often because of sports, and it drove me crazy. You can't show that in November.
Be football and baseball. I think it would be like baseball playoffs would usually mess with it or something like that.
Oh, I would get so upset.
Yeah, that is one thing I'm jealous of the younger generations for a lot of things, but the fact that they never have to get a show they want to watch preempted by like sports, like that's my Vietnam. Like I'm just you friggin' kids, you don't understand. You got it too good. This is 9. This was kind of a more stunty than normal Treehouse of Horrors, if I'm recalling.
Yeah, but I still think it's one of the best. And it has a Freddy Jason couch gag opening it. So.
Oh, excellent. What is it, almost 5 years before the movie? Freddy vs. Jason? When did that come out? 2004?
I think that was...
3? Something like that?
I'm terrible with releases.
Yeah, I'm just trying to remember like where I was living at the time when I was in Somerville and saw it, which I think it might have been 2003. Yeah, I haven't ever seen a bad Treehouse of Horrors, even in the years that The Simpsons was not the highest quality. But I'm sure there are bad ones.
Yeah, they've been getting kind of rough lately, because I still watch The Simpsons. I'm very dedicated. It's my favorite show of all time.
You still watch new ones?
Yeah.
Wow.
And again, I didn't like it this last one, but they did something they've never done before, which is a Thanksgiving special.
Oh, interesting. And was it good?
It was fantastic. And it was basically a Treehouse of Horror. It was all, it was very violent, it was absolutely wonderful. And I wish that was Treehouse of Horror. If they want to move over and start doing the turkey
horrors,
I'm into it, because they seemed renewed and inspired by it. But this one has Hell to Pay, which is also one of my favorite puns. So
yes, that's true. For people who didn't get the pun there, as in like a hairpiece.
Yes.
A toupee. Which I feel like I haven't seen a lot of toupees anymore. I feel like I would see them on people a lot. Yeah,
maybe they're really good. I worked at a salon for a while, and we were told to really push, it's when you shake in the color.
Oh, yeah.
And I knew Bruce Boxletter did a great commercial selling that, where they have bad CGI fires behind him. He's like running through them, and he's like, when I want assurance when I'm on the film set, I use shake hair. I don't know the actual brand name.
It was basically like literally salt and pepper shakers. Like you would put in your hair.
Yeah, you kind of work it through like a dry shampoo and makes it look a little thicker, a little darker. Yeah. But
it wasn't as good as Ron Popeil's GLH number 9, if you recall that, which was the spray-on hair.
Oh, I'd use that every day of my life. What are you talking about?
Do you? Do you remember what the GLH which stood for?
No, I have no idea what you're talking about.
Oh, do you remember Ron Popeil?
Well, yes, I'm familiar with him.
So this literally was like, it was basically spray paint. And
oh no!
You would spray it on your head, and it was the color of your hair. But in the infomercial is up on YouTube, and it really just looks like bald people with spray painted heads. But it was called GLH9, and it stood for great looking hair.
9,
because he had 8 other formulas prior to that, but 9 was the one where he really cracked it. And I know way too much about this. The funniest thing about GLH number 9 is he did not set out to invent a spray on hair. What he was trying to invent was a thing you would spray on guitar strings so that they would be picked up on camera for film and television. Because you can't really see, especially the light gauge ones, like they just don't read. So he invented this thing to spray on those. And then someone was like, hey, that could be hair.
Let me try that on my skull.
So weird. Oh, Ron Popeil. I don't know if he's still alive. Maybe he is. Who knows? Does anyone know?
That's maybe the worst way to end that guy. I wonder if he's dead.
He might be dead. He's in the big rotisserie in the sky.
Oh my god! is getting darker.
It is. Well, we're getting closer to Halloween. So you're watching that at 8 o'clock, and then what are you doing at 8:30?
8:30, I'm booking it to Nickelodeon for The Secret World of Alex Mack.
I loved that show.
It was so great. Like a ridiculous high concept, probably shouldn't have worked. It worked wonderfully.
So this is a teenage girl gets toxic, very Marvel Comics, gets toxic waste spilled on her and develops the ability to turn into a puddle.
Yeah, a silver puddle.
Yeah, and it...
Terminator 2 Light.
Was it Larissa Olenek? Was that
yeah,
her name?
Olenek, something like
yeah,
that.
Some 10 Things I Hate About You.
Yeah.
Everyone I knew had a crush on her. That was like
she's the cutest.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That is a show I'm surprised they haven't at a minimum rebooted, but also like just done like a movie of. That would kill now.
That would.
Like, you kidding me? That's what people want, is the Secret World of Alex Mack.
I gotta tell you, Ken, I'm having a great time here, but you're making me real angry about all these things.
Well, that's why you have to pitch them, and then you make the money off them, and then you're doubly happy.
So you don't mind if I take this and run with it?
No, go take all the ideas. I mean,
wonderful.
No, you can have them all. I'm so successful and wealthy, I don't need them. And neither of those things is true, but you can still have them. I forgot how popular Celebrity Deathmatch is. It's on every night.
Yeah. And I think is one of those ones they would just throw on as filler all the time. I remember it always being on. It just seemed like TRL Celebrity Deathmatch.
And you know what? Like, if people don't remember, it was probably only on for like 2 years, but I remember it being huge, and it was claymation fights between celebrities, and that's it.
It's so I never questioned it, but that shouldn't have existed. How?
It's real weird. And this episode was Puff Daddy versus Trent Reznor. I just got that one, which is very 1998.
That's painfully 1998.
Yes. At 8:30, I also want to mention Jessie was on, which was the sitcom that, oh my God, why did I forget her name? Christina Applegate did after
that's right.
Married with Children. I've never seen it, but this is a Halloween episode, and it sounds kind of fun. And Nickelodeon would have rerun that Alex Mack like 700 times during the weekend. But this Alex Mack, they go to a haunted house, and Alex is captured by, quote, a mysterious light.
Yeah, I don't care if they're going to rerun it. I gotta see that right away.
Fair enough, because otherwise you wouldn't be able to talk about it the next day when everyone was discussing it. 9 o'clock, what'd you do?
I'm going up. I'm checking out that X-rated Diagnosis Murder.
Yeah, I think that's the way to go. This is Star Trek alumni have key roles in a mystery involving the apparent alien abduction of Jesse, played by Charlie Schlatter, who played Ferris Bueller on the Ferris Bueller TV series and was the young George Burns in the movie 18 Again. I'd check that out. I might watch this now.
Yeah.
Not right now, but, today.
No, you can hang up on me.
Yeah.
I'll
just,
put it on too.
I'm not going to hang up. You just wait till I'm done. Just sit there, and then I'll come back. So I'm doing the Diagnosis Murder. I'm not watching the final Magician's Biggest Magic Secrets Revealed, Unmasking the Magician, because that show really annoyed me.
Why did it annoy you?
Because it was like, I really like magic, and I hated how they presented that, because they were like, these magicians think they're pretty cool, right? Well, fuck them. These fucking assholes.
This is an actual magic, guys. Did you think they made a pact with Satan? No, it turns out it's a trick.
They tricked you. Yeah. They think you're dumb. Like, it wasn't presented in a way like, look how cool it is that they invented this thing that makes it look like this happened. This was just this guy was like, yeah, I'm an amateur magician, and they didn't treat me right, so fuck them. It's just like the most Fox show ever.
Oh my God, it was. And I remember watching it because they did make it sound super enticing.
Yeah.
And it was him, I guess, in an auditorium completely empty with some cheesy music, and it just had such a weird vibe to it. There's nothing to connect to, and there's no showmanship because it felt very mercenary. So yeah, I'm with you. No, thank you.
It was like the most boring Videodrome. And I mean the show in the movie, not the movie itself.
Okay. No, and I think I'm sure they got great ratings on that because they were going to unveil it, and it's like it turns out it's a magician
no one's heard of, but all the magicians knew him, and he was apparently like some basically like cruise magician that everyone thought was an asshole.
Well, Val Valentino, that's a great name. Like you have to be a magician.
That's true. Like you're just your family has put you on that path, and you're going to be bitter about it and expose everyone else's secrets.
Oh, I'll be a magician, all right.
Sure, I'll be the last magician. Ruin it for everyone. I do want to mention ER that night is a Halloween episode of ER, and ER always did Halloween episodes. And I loved ER. I watched it religiously.
I watched it with my mom, and I really liked it. She loved it.
It's so depressing.
The show or the Halloween episode? The
show, because it was just like when I tried to go. I was like, I really loved ER. Maybe I'll go back and rewatch those. And like 4 episodes in, I'm like, I want to die.
Oh no!
Like, because it's just so grim.
Yeah, I don't remember much about it.
Everyone dies all the time, basically.
Well, it is a hospital. That's fair.
Yeah. But it's, it'll be fun sometimes. Plus, the cast is great. I mean, Juliana Margulies is in The Good Wife, which is a show that you should watch.
I will watch it. You knew exactly how to sell that to me. Yeah. And she has some of my favorite hair in Hollywood. So.
Yep. Do you know what her first movie role was?
No, I don't.
She was in Steven Seagal's Above the Law.
Yeah, I don't think I've seen that one. I'm still trying to catch up on my Seagal. You know how it is.
William Forsythe is in it as a crazy crackhead from Brooklyn named Richie, who grew up with Steven Seagal and became a criminal, but Seagal became a cop, and he goes on a quest to find Richie, and it's about 2 hours of Steven Seagal yelling in a bad Brooklyn accent, "Anybody see Richie?"
All right, I'll add that to the list of things to watch, because that's pretty great. Fun.
It's pretty great. There's also, I've talked about it a million times on the show, but I'm going to do it again because it might be my favorite scene in cinema, and it is the puppy dog food scene from the movie where some guy throws a puppy out of a car in front of Steven Seagal. What? And so Steven Seagal rescues it, and he goes into like some bodega in Brooklyn, and this guy comes up, he's like, "Hey, can I help you with something?" And he's like, and he goes, "Yeah, you guys got any puppy dog food?" And then the guy goes, "Oh, puppy dog food, yeah." And it's like this 5-minute scene, and I'm like, why is this here? To the point where I bought an original shooting script just to see if it was in the script, because it is.
That's beautiful. Do they ever call it puppy chow?
No.
Hey, puppy chow.
Yo, what's good puppy dog food and puppy chow? Like, it's just these two guys doing the most ridiculous Brooklyn accents, and it's fantastic. Oh, puppy dog food? Yeah. It might be the best scene in cinema. I don't want to oversell it, but it's probably the greatest scene that's ever been put on celluloid.
What you're telling me right now, I feel like it's impossible to oversell it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm underselling it, if anything. So Friday, the final night of the week, we are October 30th, the night before Halloween, a Hell Night, as it's called in some places, but I had never heard of that till The Crow. Had you heard of Hell Night?
No.
Yeah.
Not before The Crow.
Apparently, it was a thing before The Crow, just not where I lived. But what'd you do? 8 o'clock, Friday night, October 30th, 1998.
Well, for Hell Night, TGIF.
Yes.
That was my constant, and that moved with me. That helped me. But yeah, I don't know. Just, I have so much affection for TGIF, and the Halloween night of TGIF was excellent.
Sabrina is a great show. Mm-hmm. I still contend. And their Halloween episodes were always really great. Mm-hmm. I had sort of aged out of TGIF by this time, so I'm unfamiliar with Two of a Kind, which I believe is the Olsen Twins.
Yeah, yeah, that one I wasn't very excited about. I definitely would have watched the Halloween episode, but I was mainly there for Boy Meets World and Sabrina at that point.
Boy Meets World I enjoyed, but then it kind of later became a weird Friends ripoff. Like when they all went to college.
Yeah, I did it. I don't think I ever saw that show through.
Yeah, it you didn't miss much. But I that's a solid choice. This is a really difficult night because AMC Monster Fest is showing Hollywood Ghost Stories, which is hosted by William Shatner, which is different from the straight-to-video 1985 Hollywood Ghost Stories documentary hosted by the one and only John Carradine.
That's what I would be flipping to during the commercials. I was the annoying person where I'm like, okay, commercials, I'm going to see what's on the other channel.
Yes.
I was good at typing it, though.
Yeah, I mean, I think that it was a skill set that only certain people had. That
Well, I was a latchkey only child, so I had it.
Yeah, I had a younger sister, but I was more or less a latchkey only child as well, because she did like sports and things, and I was just alone all the time. But this night, man, the season 2 episode of Millennium where Kiss is the guest.
That's what I was going to switch to at 9, because that sounds incredible. And Millennium is an excellent show.
Amazing show. Love Lance Hendrickson. Lance Hendrickson, incredibly tiny man.
Really?
I was shocked. Because I know actors are usually small, but right. I met him at, I think I was doing Horror Hound weekend, and he's like 5'2".
Really?
I'm like, man, I am legitimately shocked by that.
Talk about having a screen presence. I've never always suspected.
I always think of Stone Cold, the greatest action film of all time, starring Brian Bosworth. And he's the villain in that. Also, William Forsythe is in that movie. And Brian Bosworth, ex-Seattle Seahawks, I think he was a quarterback. So he's like 6'5". And Lance Hendrickson is eye to eye with him in every scene. So now whenever I watch it, I just know that he's on like 8 Apple boxes.
Oh, wow.
It's kind of great. Same with Near Dark, actually, because Bill Paxton was a pretty big guy. And him and Lance Hendrickson appear to be the same size in that movie.
God, and I kind of want to just go through all of his films now and see if I can point it out.
Yeah. He was originally cast in The Terminator, which you may or may not have known.
I don't think I did.
Yeah, he was cast as the Terminator. And then they made him put Schwarzenegger in for budgetary reasons, but then they kept Hendrickson in the movie. They put him in a different role. Also, the premiere that night of a cool show that really it has zero fan base and didn't then and doesn't now, a show called Brimstone. Do you recall that show? I do.
My dad was actually really into Brimstone back in the day.
Cool show. It was a cool show. This is Peter Horton from 30-something is a detective that gets killed, and then to come back from the dead, he makes a deal with the devil to like collect souls that have escaped from hell, which is kind of awesome.
That's a great concept, yeah.
And the devil was played by John Glover, who's amazing as the devil.
So much stuff was wasted on me being whatever age I was. I think that I don't fantasize about becoming a vampire or anything like that, but sometimes it'd be cool to, like, I don't know, always be 24.
Yeah.
So you could always appreciate things and always have the energy to appreciate them.
Yes. Yeah. Because now I'm like, I'll go back and I'm going to go take a nap. Because although Brimstone, I don't think is streaming anywhere. I haven't even seen episodes on YouTube. Like, it just disappeared.
Do you know if it got a physical media release?
It didn't. It never got a DVD release. Yeah, which I was shocked because like a ton of like that show Miracles came out on DVD, or like it was that time when they were really pushing anything that was one season.
Yeah, that's an easy release right there.
Yeah, but no, and it sort of missed the boat. Well, that is the week. And before we get to the cheers and jeers, which I read every episode and see if you agree or disagree, what are your Halloween go-tos that you watch every year? You did mention one of them, the Monster Mania. Is there anything else that is like a perennial that you have to watch every year?
Yeah, I do watch John Carpenter's Halloween, which is wonderful. Usually 3, because in my opinion, 3 is the most Halloween-y.
That's why we're the same person.
And I always watch a bunch of sitcom Halloween episodes sprinkled throughout the month, because that's just fun and it keeps the spirit going. And Trick or Treat.
Trick or treat or trick or treat?
The treat.
Not the heavy metal movie with Mark Price from Family Ties.
No, that's a fun one, but it's not quite in the permanent rotation yet. Tales from Halloween is a new one. A great anthology horror film, and
with Dana Gould in it, friend of the
show. He's wonderful in it, and there's this obscure documentary I watch every year called Unconventional.
Yes, I've seen that.
You have?
Yes.
I watch it every Halloween season.
Oh, weird. Why every Halloween season?
I don't know. I just, for some reason, I think it's fun. And it has these, like, hidden little gems. It's an awkward, low-budget documentary, but it has a lot of gems in it. It has, like, the first time Bill Moseley met Gunnar Hansen.
Yes. Yes, that's true.
And then they have... Gunnar didn't know he was being filmed, but they filmed him ordering, like, a Meat Lover's pizza. So seeing Leatherface ordering Meat Lover's pizza, I think that's... I don't know, just something about it's very cozy to me, and I always watch it.
I met Gunnar Hansen in 1991 at a place we had called Spooky World here in New England. And it was before... Really, the only conventions they had was, like, Fangoria Weekend of Horrors, and that was it. And this thing, Spooky World, was once a month, 1 month a year, every year. And they advertised it as America's Horror Theme Park. And it had like 4 haunted houses, but it had what they called a horror mall.
M-A-U-L?
M-A-L-L. They really missed a trick there. But it was,
okay.
It was basically like a mini horror convention. So they sold like movie posters, which you just couldn't buy those anywhere then, you know, like they had like a Dawn of the Dead poster, but they'd also have people signing autographs and for free. And I got a Leatherface t-shirt signed by Gunnar Hansen when I was like 11. Awesome. And it was kind of great. And that's where I first met, Elvira. That was pretty exciting. But that's my only Gunnar Hansen run-in. And he kept telling, I must have been 11. And he just kept talking about Hollywood Chainsaw Hookers.
It's a great movie.
It really is, but it seemed just bizarre. He's like, I just did this picture. You got to see it. It's great. It's like,
I'm glad he appreciated it because he deservedly became famous for his role. But like in that movie, they erotically dance with chainsaws. They have a lady chainsaw fight. I mean, they took it to the next level.
Is that the best Fred Olen Ray movie?
It's my favorite.
I would say it's probably, yeah. I'd put it, I'd do that and then maybe Evil Tunes. Right underneath.
Well, I think I like the concept and the idea of Evil Tunes existing more than I've enjoyed actually watching it, but...
That's true.
Respect.
Somewhere in this mess of a room, I have an animation cell from Evil Tunes.
Of course you do.
That Fred Olen Ray just gave me. No reason. I wrote a thing for him called The Treasures of Black Cinema, hosted by Richard Roundtree.
Wow.
And he paid me and gave me a cell from Evil Tunes.
Oh my God. You're the coolest person.
Not really. I just have a lot of time on my hands. But thank you. So, as you know, TV Guide, it is not just informative. It has opinions and it cheers and in jeers. So I'm going to read you the cheers and jeers from this week in 1998, Halloween week, and see if you agree or disagree. We have two cheers, 2 jeers. Did you have a preference to which one you started with?
No.
Okay, we'll start with a cheer. Cheers to keeping us guessing. Week after week, NBC's Law & Order is one of TV's most intricately, ingeniously plotted series. But the drama outdid itself with the episode Bait, which aired on October 14th, about a suburban Connecticut teen found shot and unconscious on a Manhattan sidewalk. Until the final 10 minutes, we weren't sure which of the 4 suspects was going to be tried for what crime it would be. Cheer within a cheer, rare cheer within a cheer, to the addition of Angie Harmon to Eleanor's cast. Over the past few seasons, the female assistant, DAs Jill Hennessy and Carrie Lowell, have been voices of conscience, continually annoying DA McCoy, played by Sam Waterston, with pesky ethical issues. But the husky-voiced Harmon, who had just come off Baywatch nights, for real, is a real lock 'em up and throw 'em away the key prosecutor type.
Yeah, she wasn't given a lot to do on Baywatch nights, so I bet she was coming in just champing at the bit.
Yeah, she goes, I want my big shot on Law and Order. Because Donna D'Errico was introduced on Baywatch Nights, and then when they canceled Baywatch Nights, they folded her into the Baywatch cast. But Angie Harmon said they said bye-bye. I guess I
wonder if they offered Baywatch to her. And she's like,
that'd be a good
guys,
question.
no.
I think I'm going to go with the Sam Waterston thing. I think it's got legs. Cheers to a merry interlude. During Steve Martin's recent appearance on CBS's Late Show, the comedian and host David Letterman began musing about why it had been so long since Martin last visited. Both men struck contemplative poses, and the screen began to swirl, and we were treated to a farcical flashback, Dave and Steve's gay vacation. There were scenes of affectionate horseplay by the seashore of the guys spooning ice cream into each other's mouths, and even lovers spat after Dave was caught ogling a muscular passerby. Oh, this would not fly now.
No, and I looked this up on YouTube after reading that because it sounded wonderful, and I love Steve Martin. And it's exactly what you would think it'd be, just like, haha, they're doing kind of typically quote-unquote gay things.
Yeah.
But it really, it's very sweet-natured.
Yeah,
kind
it
of a
doesn't seem
romance
hateful.
thing.
But it's, I mean, the only thing that makes it seem really hateful is the name they called it.
Yeah. I mean, I guess you could be like the way we used to use gay.
Yeah. No,
it was not subtle.
Yeah. I'm surprised that's a cheer, but, oh well. Cheers to stringing us along, and then it's just a thing about the New York Yankees.
Sports, yeah.
Yeah. And finally, jeers to a soggy soap. NBC's Sunset Beach strikes us as a near parody of daytime dramas, a lame parade of preposterous hackneyed plot contrivances. Beautiful amnesiacs, evil twins, mysterious illnesses, they're all in there. But for sheer jaw-dropping implausibility, we'll take the installment on October 2nd in which Virginia tiptoes into the hotel room of Vanessa with a turkey baster loaded with semen to impregnate her romantic rival while she sleeps. Sorry, Sunset Beach, we can't watch anymore. We're due back on planet Earth.
See, I would have given a cheer to the all the plots they mentioned.
Yes! It's like exactly how you describe Dynasty.
Yeah, it's like, it sounds like it could be the Proto-Passions, which was great.
Passions was pretty excellent. What was the little doll guy's name?
Was it Timmy on the show?
Timmy, yes.
Yeah, he was wonderful.
Man, yeah, that show was great. I disagree. I want to watch that now. That sounds kind of amazing. I did one time in real life have someone try to pull the evil twin defense. Genuinely.
To you?
Yes. In the apartment building I lived in, the guy on the first floor had destroyed the apartment, and then he tried to tell the landlord it was his evil twin brother who was a crackhead.
Wow.
Who did it? Because they were like, we saw you do it. It was like, and he's like, no, man, that was my twin brother. And I was like, I have never in my life seen anyone try to pull the evil twin excuse in real life. But this guy tried. I mean, obviously it didn't work. But I got to give him credit for going for it.
No, I respect the gall he had.
Yeah, I feel like if I was the landlord, I would have been like, look, I know that's bullshit, but I respect what you've done here. Forget about it.
I took a lot of cojones. Yeah. But what if it was his evil twin? That's the thing.
I mean, then, I guess that's the breaks for having an evil twin. That's the payoff. That would be the price you pay for getting to pull all those switcheroos on people in high school.
Boy, oh, yeah.
Like the Olsen Twins.
Exactly. Have we learned nothing from the Olsen Twins?
No. Has anyone figured out which one is the evil one? There always has to be. One of them has to be evil, right? Isn't that how twins work?
Yeah. Yeah, especially according to Treehouse of Horror. It's not always the one you'd expect.
Or twins of evil.
Oh, yeah.
I think, all right, here, to wrap up here, because I'm sorry I'm keeping you all night, I'm going to pitch you a movie, even though you're not a movie producer and cannot greenlight this, but tell me what you think of this.
Okay.
Remake Frank Henneletter's Basket Case, but we star the Olsen twins.
Okay, so which one is Dwayne and who's Belial?
They're both
Or do you know?
Belials. I don't know. I haven't got
Just
that
two
far.
baskets right next
Just
to
two
each other.
baskets. It's two
There's
Belials.
a little door in between they can visit each other.
Yep. There's no Dwayne. It's just two Belials.
Yeah, green
Two
lit,
Belials.
We're gonna get you. Yeah.
One room, one set. They never leave the baskets. So it'll be like my dinner with Andre.
And is it still no speech going on?
Well, there'll be like grunting and things.
Of course, yes.
You know,
okay.
Maybe we'll subtitle.
Maybe just leave them on the subway.
That's a good idea.
And
Yeah.
just follow them.
Let them go back and forth on the... Oh, crossover with the Warriors. Done.
Ah, jeez, this is gold. You can't waste it on a fake producer like me.
Well, maybe you need to become a real producer just for this.
Yeah, because I would greenlight this, so I'm sure I'd last a good long time.
Well, when the world reopens, I will PayPal you $1, and you can go to your local mom and pop casino and bet that with whatever game you choose, whatever your game is. You're playing dollar craps or a slot machine.
No,
whatever
you
it
gotta
is.
pick a gimmicky slot machine. For you, I'll do Elvira.
Okay, we'll do the Elvira slot machine, and then because this is meant to be, you will win the budget for this remake of Basket Case and can be a producer. I know this will happen.
All right, I'm in.
Well, thank you so much for doing this. It's been great talking to you finally. I've been trying to corral you into this for a while, and I appreciate you taking the time.
This was a blast. Thank you so much. This is a fun trip back.
There you go. That's Stephanie. She's great. As I said, I had an amazing time talking to her, as I knew I would, because she's very smart and funny and engaging and knowledgeable and has the same voice as Drew Barrymore, or at least I think so. But maybe you agree or disagree. If you want to weigh in on that, you can do so at tvguidancecounselor@gmail.com or ken@kenread.com or Kenneth W. Reed or at TV Guidance. Also, I still want to thank everyone who contributes to the Patreon. If for some strange reason you want to contribute now and you don't already, you can go to patreon.com/TV Guidance Counselor, or if you want to buy some shirts, I have my TeePublic site. There's a lot of TV stuff on there and classic television, some TV Guidance Counselor stuff. You can get masks as well if you want a TV Guidance Counselor mask. That would be cool. If you get any of that stuff, send me some pictures. I love to see them. And it makes my day. So thank you guys so much, and we'll be here again next week for a brand new edition of TV Guidance Counselor.
I'm sorry, Ken. It's too 90s.